Let's go ahead and go through the user interface and some of the all the options here. Of course, we've got our on-off control, and we talked about just turns it off and on. Now, if I tap it, it'll turn off and on the backlight. You can see the backlight's on there, it's off there. So tapping turns the backlight off and on. If I hold it a couple seconds, it'll turn off, or if I hold it a couple seconds, it'll turn on. The track button is the ground balance. Now, I might want to lock the ground balance in difficult ground areas where you've got a lot of hot rocks or mineralized rocks, coal cinders, stuff like that will really confuse the tracking. In spots like that, you want to hold the tracking and balance on one of those spots and then lock it at that setting, and you'll have a lot better performance and smoother and more consistent operation that way. So the menu system is quite easy. You have options here. I can push options and go to the options mode. If I don't mess with anything for a certain length of time, it'll automatically time out and exit the options mode. But once I go to options, then I use the up and down buttons to look at the options, and then I use the plus and minus to make adjustments to those options. So arrows finds the option, plus and minus adjust that option. So let's go ahead and go through some of these options here. The TreasurePro has an auto memory, so any change you make is going to hold through battery changes and on and off cycles. So if I turn the volume up, the volume stays up until I turn it down. Now, if I've made a lot of adjustments and I'm not sure what I've done or what I've put into all the options, I can reset. I'm going to hold the pinpoint button and it'll reset for me. Resets everything to factory specs, factory presets. The inches or metric measurements for depth reading, you just press the plus or minus to switch from metric to inches. Program, here we have the coin and jewelry program, which is a good general purpose program for everything. If I press the plus or minus, I go to beach, and that's of course for the wet beaches, the saltwater beaches primarily. We've got an all metal program, which is if you're looking for everything. If you're clearing your driveway of nails, you'd go to all metal, so you'd get your iron and steel. And we have high trash, and that would be if you get into an area, it's just no fun to hunt it because there's just so much trash there that you're not doing well. The high trash program has a lot higher level of trash rejection for those difficult trashy areas. And then back to coin and jewelry. Beyond programs, I've got tone. One tone would be everything beeps the same tone. So that's really no tone ID. That's what they call where you have different pitches for different target classes. If I go to 2, all of your iron targets have a lower tone. All of your non-iron targets have a higher pitch tone. So that's kind of a 2-tone tone ID. You have to accept the iron area to hear the iron. If you're rejecting iron, 2 tones just going to null out or go quiet on the iron. So to really use the 2 tones properly, you'd want to accept all of your iron targets and basically all of your targets. 4-tone splits the target range up into 4 categories, progressively higher pitches as you get higher on the scale. So your silver and copper is going to give you your highest pitch sound, your iron is going to give you your lowest pitch sound, and your 2 other tones are split up between the nickel pull tab range and the screw cap range. 8-tone splits that same category up into 8 spots. So still the highest pitch is your silver copper, the lowest pitch is your iron, and then the other tones are spread evenly between those 2 ranges. So I'm going to go up to disc. Now in the disc setting, we're changing the trash rejection, what targets it's accepting and which targets it's rejecting. I can use the plus and minus to go up the scale. So here we can see we're in the nickel range. If I press pinpoint, that's going to reject that lower part of the nickel range. Press it again, now it's accepting all of that nickel range. And there's 20 ranges that you can accept or reject. I'm going to go up to the next option, threshold. Threshold's that background hum that you hear all the time when you're searching. So some people don't like it. Some people want it completely quiet until it finds a target. Other people like that threshold tone running. The advantage of the threshold tone is that you can hear when you're rejecting targets, it goes quiet. So you know there's a lot of trash metal around there. You might slow down, sweep it from some different angles. The threshold does give you a lot of information about what's going on with the detector. Silent search, you don't hear anything until it thinks it's got something worthwhile. Volume is just like it says, it's how loud it's going to beep. Now you probably run a lower volume if you were using the headphones than if you were not using the headphones, but this is just how loud it's going to beep. Up again, back to the reset, and that's all of the options that it has in the options mode. But there are options on the main screen, and primarily if you're in a search mode, you can press the plus and minus, increase or decrease the sensitivity with plus and minus in the normal search mode, because that's one of the things a person would adjust the most. Get near some power lines, start hearing some chatter, you just press down, turn the sensitivity down a little bit and keep hunting. The other option here is the threshold, and it's on the up and down arrows from the search mode. Again, normally you'd hear a slight hum. Some people prefer it as 0, which is the silence. So in a normal search mode, plus and minus is your sensitivity or gain, arrow up and down is your threshold. These options are still in the options mode, so you can go to options, find it with the arrow, adjust it with the plus and minus, and in the disc setting and some of the other settings, the pinpoint control activates or deactivates that feature. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you get the hang of it, it's very simple.